I'm joined today by Australia's World Cup champion, Simon Whitlock. Simon, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thanks for joining us. It's the first time we've had you on the show, and we'll start with next week's event in Wolverhampton as you return to the Grand Slam, courtesy of your results winning the World Cup this past summer. How much are you looking forward to being back in the Grand Slam?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great tournament. I've done well a couple of years ago in it, and hopefully I can go one better or two better.
Of course, as I said, it's the first time we've had you on, so let's look back at your long career in the game. What are your earliest memories of darts?
Probably go back to when I was about 7 or 8, when my father used to play darts at home, and one day he just said, "Do you want to have a throw?" And I said, "Not really." And I think I threw 3 darts, and that was it. And then the next time I threw darts again was probably when I was about 15.
Now, fast forward late 2002, you won the Oceanic Masters, which had helped you qualify for your first World Championship in the PDC at the Circus Tavern. What was the experience like, especially early in your career, traveling all the way over from Australia to play in a World Championship for the first time?
Yeah, it was a bit strange and very nerve-wracking. I remember I was extremely nervous playing that match. My legs were shaking, my hands were shaking, and yeah, I remember being behind in the match and coming back and winning the first one. So it was a big relief and a great experience.
And of course, you followed that up by also beating Peter Manley before going out to Richie Burnett in the last 16. What was it like playing on TV in front of the cameras for the first time? Or had you played on TV before that in Australia?
I don't think I'd played on TV. I'd played on stage in front of big crowds, but yeah, the cameras were a new thing, and it was quite scary. It was like a very enclosed environment in the Circus Tavern, so it was quite scary, to be fair.
I bet. And of course, you were introduced by the MC as the sensation of the event, walking out to New Sensation with a Wizards hat on. Afterwards, you headed back to Australia. Did you think that maybe it could be a start of a professional career?
Yeah, I did. I mean, from a young age, I always dreamt of being a professional dart player because I used to watch the old boys like John Lowe and Eric Bristow and Jockey Wilson, and I fell in love with the sport when I was about 15, when I first started playing properly, and it was always a dream to be a professional.
After that debut in the PDC World Championships, you played 5 consecutive years at the Lakeside, making a semifinal and a final before in 2009, setting your sights on qualifying for the PDC World Championship again. What made you decide to go back to try to play the PDC?
I just felt as though that was where all the best players were heading, and most of the best ones from the BDO had crossed over at that stage, and I just felt like that was the way forward with darts. I wanted to play the best. I wanted to play Phil Taylor and Barney and Gary Anderson, the players like that.
Of course, you played a little bit in the PDC even before that, Grand Slam in 2008 and 2009, making the quarterfinals both year, and obviously this week being the Grand Slam. Did you take any belief from those runs in the Grand Slam that you could compete against the best in the PDC?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I lost to Phil, and I remember being in front, I was like 7-3 in front, I think, in that match, and ended up losing, and of course I think he went on and won that. And yeah, I always believed after that particular match and the event that I could beat anybody.
And you beat nearly everybody at the World Championships in 2009 when you returned at the Alexandra Palace, knocking off the 2nd seed, the 3rd seed, the 6th seed, a couple other seeds, including a semifinal win over Raymond van Barneveld in a last set before losing to Phil Taylor in the finals. What are your memories of that run to the final?
Well, before that, I'd had a breakup with my marriage, and I'd moved away, and I was practicing like 5 hours a day, just non-stop, and I had the best preparation for that, and I saw the draw, and I basically planned pretty much every single match in my head, who I was going to play, who I was going to beat, and meet Phil in the final. So, and it actually happened, but I didn't win it, unfortunately.
It was still a life-changing week for you. You mentioned you moved over to the UK, and you made it into the Premier League as a wild card off the back of that run to the final. How do you look back on that time in your career now? and life, I guess.
Yeah, it was just a big turning point for me. I needed a new start in life, like after the breakup of my marriage, and it just all sort of fell into place for me. And now I've been living in the UK ever since.
A couple years later, you won your first major title at the European Championship after coming close there previously, and especially now, considering just how popular you've always been in those events in Europe. What does winning that title mean to you, joining that role of major winners in the PDC?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was a special moment in my life, and I think I shed a couple of tears after winning that. And yeah, I still got more in me. I know I have. And hopefully I can win a few more big ones.
Well, let's just talk a little bit more, though, on that final. You had just a really good week that entire week, beating everyone other than Kim Heibrooks really comfortably. And then just Wes Newton never really got a shot in that final. Did you feel in that match that you were ever in trouble, or did you just feel like this was your time?
I just felt like it was my time. I was in a really good place then. I mean, I was sort of expecting to play Phil, I think, the match before, but he went out, and then just as soon as I beat Ronnie Heibrooks, that was the big turning point. I just knew I was going to win. Since
then, been some ups and downs. Been in the Premier League a few times, made a lot of deep runs in pretty much all the majors. But something that maybe not everyone knows is that even still, throughout all that, you continue to play a lot of local opens and other events in your area. What does a typical week look like darts-wise for you?
Yeah, I do have local tournaments, like a league night we play every Wednesday, Thursday night, just locally. And, you know, we have some good players there, and that's always kept my game at a high level, because there's some very good dart players there, some who've had tour cards, and yeah, it just keeps your game like at a good level, and I think that's helped my career.
Of course, a couple years ago in 2020, 3 consecutive Sky Majors, you went against Michael Van Gerwen, and all you did was beat him each time, including in the Grand Slam in a last leg decider. What was it like to beat Michael Van Gerwen 3 times in a year, and what did you take out of that?
Yeah, that was amazing. I played some good darts. I mean, Michael wasn't at his best, but when I played him in the Grand Slam, I think, when it went to the last leg decider, he played a really good game, and I just never gave up. And just knowing I'd beaten him as well before that, it just gave me a lot of confidence.
Now, we introduced you as a World Cup champion. You are, of course, alongside Damon Heta, the reigning World Cup champions this year. What did that title mean to you, the first title for Australia, especially considering you guys have come close, most famously the 2012 final when you were alongside Paul Nicholson?
Yeah, that was amazing. To win with Damo, just, you know, it felt like I'd finally won something big. I know it's pairs and it's not as big as any other of the majors, but it just felt like I could retire now, you know, that sort of feeling. But I'm not quitting yet anyway. As long as I can keep throwing, I'll keep going.
One thing that was a little different this year with the World Cup was there were no real major upsets in the early rounds. All 8 seeded nations were in it in the final day. But boy, you and Damon were class. You two averaged 109 against Belgium. You had a 103 average in your singles match against James Wade in the semifinals. How did you feel going into the final against the betting favorites, Wales?
Yeah, I mean, we'd been beaten up by them 2 previous years. So, you know, I was a little bit nervous going into that match, but on the other hand, I was very confident because I played so well throughout, and same with Damo. You know, once Damo got in his groove, we were pretty much unbeatable.
Of course, you both were unbeatable in those first 2 singles matches, going 2-0 up before losing out in a last leg decider in the pairs. Damon went up in the 4th match, so you were backstage. How nervy were you watching backstage, knowing that if he lost, you'd have to go play in a deciding match?
Yeah, to be fair, I was getting really nervous, and I'm so relieved that Damo actually finished it off because, the nerves were getting a bit shaky, and I was getting a bit tired as well because it takes a lot of energy out of you when you're playing a lot and watching. And in such intense matches, and over the amount of days we played, I was getting a bit tired.
As a result of winning that, you're back in the Grand Slam this week. You missed out on the last few televised majors. So how nice will it be to be back on that big stage again? Is it something that you must be relishing?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going in there with an injury though, which doesn't really help me a lot. I've got a bad heel at the moment. I've got bursitis, and I'm struggling a bit with that, but I'm not going to make any excuses. I can still throw darts. I've played with a broken ankle before and won matches with that. So beware of the injured, they say, I think.
I kind of remember that. Did you win a pro tour when you were injured last time? I kind of remember that.
I'm not sure if I won a pro tour, but I made the world semi-finals.
That might be what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I made it to the semis, which was incredible. I hadn't picked a dart up for 6 weeks.
Well, we'll see. Maybe that'll be a good thing for you in Wolverhampton. Of course, after Wolverhampton, it's off to Minehead for the Players' Championship Finals, and then Ali Pali for your 20th World Championship, PDC and BDO combined. Did you know that this is going to be your 20th, and what does that milestone mean to you?
No, I didn't actually. I mean, 20 is amazing. I never would have dreamt that would have happened. And, hopefully I can get more than 20 in.
Definitely a good chance for that. Of course, we still don't know whether you'll be a seed or one of the Pro Tour qualifiers. It depends on how you and everyone else does in Wolverhampton and Minehead. Though, does that add more pressure, or you just focus solely on the events themselves?
No, not really. I mean, these days I try not to worry about rankings and if I qualify for things now. I'm getting on a bit now. I'm 53 and I know I haven't got many years left, but I'm still enjoying it as much as I ever did, and I just don't pressure myself now and just look forward to every event I can play in.
Seems like not just you enjoying how you're playing, because you just signed a new multi-year deal with Winmau. Of course, you've also been a long time part of the Modus stable. How much does having the support of those two companies mean, and how much has it meant over the years?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Winmau supplied me with everything I've needed throughout my career since I've been with them, and my management. I'm good friends with my manager. He used to live just around the corner from me. And, without them, I don't know where I'd be. I probably wouldn't be here still playing, I'd imagine.
Now, just a couple more questions. You, of course, were one of the first players to move over from Australia to pursue a career in darts. We saw, of course, the late Kyle Anderson. More recently, Damon Heta, Gordon Mathers make that commitment. We had Raymond Smith on the show earlier this year, and he's considering the move. What would your advice be to players from back home thinking about following in yours and those other players' footsteps?
Yeah, I would say go for it. I mean, you only live once, so try and fulfill your dreams. Have a go. What's the worst thing can happen? I mean, you might end up broke or something because it's a very expensive sport. But, I think I'd advise everyone to give it a go, because if you can get here and get a tour card, then you're obviously good enough to play professionally.
And then lastly, you mentioned that you only have a few more years left on the professional circuit. Have you got any plans on what you'd like to do after that? So you're still going to be involved in darts in some way?
No plans really. I'll just keep playing darts. If I lose my tour card, I've still got the seniors. I've got other options, Modus League, exhibitions. I have no problem getting exhibitions through my management. So I'll probably never stop playing. I can't see myself stopping unless injuries or something, illness, injuries.
Well, Simon, best of luck in Wolverhampton and the rest of the year, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for the interview.